Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Royal Paladin deck profile for November 2018 post Psyqualia Strife. This is the deck profile that'll have the support to include with the Exculpate the Blaster, and this deck is really fun, and the whole point of it is to use your grade 4 Exculpate to basically attack all your opponent's units, and then also restand into Blaster Blade, making sure you have Blaster Blade in your soul, set up your plays, searching out the proper ride targets as well for all your different cards. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. Now, being a grade 4 is needed for the lineup, we had to mix up the grade 3 lineup to complement some of the other cards as well. So I run 3 Exculpate the Blaster. This is your main grade 4 unit of the deck. And your main, like I said before, card to go for. When placed, you counterblast 1, choose 1 card from your soul, and put all the other cards from your soul into the drop zone. And when this unit attacks during this turn, this unit battles all of your opponent's units in 1 attack. So basically that soul effect is meant to get the setup so you can at least hopefully have Blaster Blade in your soul, because the other effect is at the end of the battle that it attacked, you put 2 cards from your hand into your soul, retire this unit, ride a Blaster Blade from your soul as stand. If you cannot ride, you lose. So it's pretty straightforward, so you basically have to maximize and emphasize Blaster Blade, whether you already have it from riding upon it as a grade 2 ride in your soul, or you have to place it there with Exculpate, plus the fact that you have to put 2 cards into your soul. It's pretty easy anyway, just because of the fact that you have to twin drive after you attack with this. So it takes care of all your opponent's units, and then, like I said, it's just a big finisher for sure. Then being able to get that other attack off with Blaster Blade is one of the key reasons why this card's a big finisher for the deck for sure, if I haven't said that enough already. For other backups, I also run 3 King of Knights Alfred, in case you can't go for, Exculpate, and the fact that you need to run a grade 3 otherwise. You just want good grade 3 lineup to rely on, and King of Knights Alfred searches for Blaster Blade on its own. It calls it to rear guard, so it doesn't really help as much with the soul effect, but still a very good offensive grade 3 to rely on in the deck as a whole, just for your plays. And then just gaining power as well when you have your Blaster Blade on your rear guard circle. The key card that goes with Exculpate is Alfred Early, however. I run 3 of this card as well. This card is searchable with some of the other cards we run in the deck, so very easy to recycle back Exculpate, grab Alfred Early. So at least have the consistent grade 3 ride chain to go off of. With Alfred Early, it's pretty standard. When placed, you counterblast 1, call up to 1 Blaster Blade from your hand or soul to rear, and this gets plus 10 until the end of the turn. So the one thing you want to remember with Alfred Early, though, you don't want to call out Blaster Blade if it's the only one you're confirmed that you have. Otherwise you're going to mess up your Exculpate play. So if you can call it from hand and you already have Blaster Blade in your soul, then that's fine. Just be kind of wary when you use this card's ability otherwise, because then you could ruin your Exculpate play later on in the game. And then lastly, I run 1 Soul Saver Dragon. This card just helps as a good finisher for your other options for soul buildup, and then just having to rely on it for big rear guard numbers as well. I like different grade 3 options in here, and this card, just as a one-of, definitely does come up as good situation-wise for sure. Just knowing that I have that Soul Saver Dragon option available to me in the deck. And that is it for the grade 3s. Moving on to the grade 2s, I run 4 Blaster Blade, a very key part of the deck for sure, so max this card out. That has the critical effect when you have 4 or more rear guards, and then when placed, you counterblast 1, soul blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the front row, and retire it. So a good card overall, just being able to take care of your opponent's units, having that critical pressure on Vanguard definitely does come in handy early game as well when you build up rear guards. And then being able to build up those rear guards means you can also counter against decks like Shadow Paladins when you go up against like Blaster Dark on Vanguard. Being able to make sure he doesn't clear out your rear guards takes away his twin drive, and in general just getting off those multiple attacks for early game pressure can put your opponent at damage that most of the time they might not be able to recover once you get to the grade 4 ride and go for the kill. So definitely 4 of this in the deck helps for sure. And I also run, I was debating how many Akane I wanted to run. I decided to stick to 3. With it, when it's placed, you counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 Pongal, call it to rear, and shuffle your deck. And during the battle that it was boosted by a high beast, this unit gets plus 3,000. So Akane is always good. We max out Pongal on the deck as well, so you always have a counterblast search, hopefully most of the time. She's a Vanguard or rear guard effect as well, so you can't really go wrong with her ride or call whenever you prefer to use it. And then the number I debated on the most was how many Sage of Salvation Benton I wanted to run. I stuck at 3 for now. Might bump it up to 4. It's just a rearguard effect. When placed, you reveal and exculpate the blaster from your hand. Return it to your deck, and you search your deck for up to 1 Alfred Early. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. Now, this card just helps with that consistency for making sure you have the grade 3 ride by putting back Exculpate. The reason I run 3 Exculpate is just so you have the option to reach that card as well, because most of the time Benton does nothing else if you already have your grade 3 ride set up, and then you basically just have to go for your Exculpate grade 4 play, which if you, like I said, don't have any other search methods, then that's your biggest problem. You'll just have to drive check or draw trigger or just straight up draw into Exculpate to achieve that ride as well. Benton's there just so you have consistency and you're not stuck on grade 2. Kind of sucks that it's only on rear guard though, so if you end up having to ride Benton because you have no other grade 2 options, that's one thing you want to remember, because it'll take away the use of that ability. So make sure you just always have that consistent plan ahead and thought out when you're going for this card for sure. And moving on to the grade 1s, I run 4 Night Squire Allen. Now this card was one I definitely debated on how many I wanted to run of in the deck. I decided to stick with 4 for this card, just for the sole fact that you can get the call. So when placed, you counterblast 1, call up to 1 card with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from your hand to rear. If you call, draw a card, and this unit gets plus 3,000 to the end of the turn. It just helps with consistency because you can always rely on Allen on rear, depending on even on first turn attack. If you have your grade 1 and you decide to go for that attack there, then this card just definitely does come in handy for that consistent draw power. And most of the time with cards like Blaster Blade, when you want to ride it next turn, or even on that other turn, you'll mostly want to take those 2 damage to go for that all-out play for Night Squire Allen for the draw power. And like I said, with that draw power, it can definitely come in handy when you're searching at some of your other cards like Exculpate the Blaster, or even a grade 3 ride if you haven't gotten cards to consistently put back your Exculpate, and you still need that grade 3 to go into for your ride. And I also run 4 Pongal. This card was talked about a little bit earlier with Akane. Just running 4 of this definitely does help for some of your plays. Being able to consistently call it with Akane just fills up your rear guard for Soul Saver plays. And when placed, if you have another unit in the same column as this unit, you Soul Charge 1. And if that card is Soul Charge as a trigger unit, this unit gets plus 5 to the end of the turn. So it kind of makes up for the fact that you would have gotten a trigger. It stinks that it's only a plus 5, unlike the plus 10 that the trigger would have provided, but still helps for the Soul Charge for cards like Soul Saver or any other cards in the deck that do take up a Soul Blast. And then I also run 3 Wingull. I'm running Wingull mostly at 3 because of the fact on Exculpate's ability to give you Blaster Blade to re-attack with again after this card attack. So if you set up Exculpate with Wingull behind it, and then you save the boost with Wingull and attack just with Exculpate, attacking everything, and then after you re-ride your Blaster Blade, you can have the consistent critical trigger if you have your rear guard set up, and then just being able to boost with Wingull, and depending on how many or where you have your force markers set up as well, can hit for a very powerful attack. And that plus 5 off of Wingull just definitely does come in handy for that situation when you want to have that additional boost. And then just on rear guard as well, hitting for Blaster Blade's numbers there definitely does come in handy when you get that plus 5. Hitting 23k means you can hit force decks with their 13k Vanguard as well, so very handy to run the 3 Wingull as well. And then lastly, for the grade 1s, I run 2 Little Sage Marin. I ran just 2 of these for the draw power. When your other rearguard is placed in the same column as this, you counterblast 1, draw a card, and this unit gets plus 3,000 until the end of the turn. This and Allen are your main consistent counterblasts, along with Hide, Dog, Breeder, Akane. Everything is mostly a counterblast 1, so as long as you can rely on, which counterblast you want to go for your big plays, you have nothing else to really worry about. Just make sure you save the counterblasts for Exculpate when you're going for his play, and you won't really have any other issues. But it's 2 Marin. I decided to go with that. Might drop the numbers if I decided to throw in a 4th Benton, but I am really happy with 3 in the deck. 4, like I said, goes back to the whole fact that you just, will have a no skill unit when you ride it, and only really relying on it if you have Exculpate in your hand and no other grade 3. And that is it for the grade 1s. For your starter, just 1 Gleam. This card is your Rotopon draw card. Being able to keep this card in the soul definitely does help for the soul build up for Soul Saver, and then just those options available to you, like all the other starters for the draws. And I decided to stick with the usual 8 critical, so 4 Epona and 4 Flogel for that force pressure. You really can't go wrong with it, especially when you're rewriting a unit and then just getting that drive check off of Blaster Blade. And also for Elaine, standard heal trigger lineup for the deck as well. And for the Perfect Guard / draw trigger, 4 Assault. So pretty standard, like all the draw triggers for the standard format. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Definitely glad I was able to get out the Blaster Blade Exculpate deck to you guys soon. Hoping to get Nouvelle out just as soon. Very excited for that one, since that one is my main deck as well. But until then, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.